Another study here. Alright, so sorry about that. It's another study video of my depression, and right now my thoughts are racing as they do when I am going through depression or grief. Comes on in waves, almost unpredictable sometimes. I'd be feeling fine, and sometimes something triggers it, like a reminder or, something. Other times it just comes on its own. And what triggered it this time was actually a stressful note that I got from SSI. Not gonna go into details or talk about it, but now I'm dealing with a lot, not only the loss of my mom and grief and everything else, but I'm dealing with Kurt, I'm dealing with eviction, I'm dealing with so much, and it weighs a lot on me because I already have the grief of my mom. And so I do these videos, kind of study, because when I am depressed or in grief, I'm not in my normal state of mind, and my thoughts, my words, my actions are very different because my sight is blinded. It's almost, I'm almost unaware of the things that I do while I'm in this sort of state. And I know when I am in my normal state of mind, I can look back, watch these, and I can actually study this. And, you know, I came to the conclusion after my mom died that there are other people who too suffer from depression, who too are going through grief or have lost a loved one. And by studying my own depression and my own grief, that I can help others who are going through it. These videos someday may be able to save somebody else's life or help somebody else down the road. And I guess that's why I do this. I've suffered from depression since my early teens, but I never really sought help. I don't talk to many people about this sort of thing, and that's kind of why I broke in California. And in California, the weight of everything that I was going through, really, I had a mental breakdown, and I haven't quite been the same since. I don't remember everything. I remember bits and pieces of it, but I snapped. And, not only did I lose my relationship with Crystal, I lost my mom. And that threw me into the worst depression I've ever been in. And what I want to talk about is the effects that depression has on, people, especially me. It's more a focus on what it's done to me, because I think it affects everybody a little differently. For me, when I go into a depression, one of three things happens. The first thing that always happens is I become really sad, almost like I don't want to be around anybody. I become very antisocial. I become closed off. The second thing that happens, which doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes I become very irritated. I don't want to be around people because people become annoyances. They become very agitating for me. So I will avoid any human interaction at all cost. I'll lock myself in my room and I won't come out. I go through the day doing what I have to do. I go to the store. I get things for dinner. I pay bills or do whatever the fuck I gotta do for that day, and I come home, and for the most part, I just relax. I get on my Xbox, or I get out my sketchbook, or I write, or whatever it is. I do. And some days I feel perfectly fine. I feel okay and I go through the day okay. Other days I wake up kind of depressed, kind of down, which I did today. And it lingers. And then some days it just comes on. Uh, what I've learned in my experiences with grief, because I've suffered from depression since my early teens, and I'm familiar with depression. Grief feels a lot like depression. They almost have the same attributes. They're very similar, except grief is much more powerful than depression. The thoughts, the feelings, it's a lot worse than depression. It's a lot stronger, but it's shorter. It doesn't linger. Depression lingers with you. It can last days, weeks, months, even. And depression will just sit there like a black cloud over your head, and it'll linger, and you'll feel kind of down, or you'll feel very antisocial. And grief, it kind of comes and goes, but it comes in waves. So it's just like you can be happy, and the next minute you're just crushed. It's like being ran over by a train 100 fucking times. And the thing is, when you lose somebody you love dearly, somebody very big in your life, especially a parent who you're close to, you lose a part of yourselves with them because you're not the same. And what a lot of people misinterpret is that, I hear this all the time, that it gets easier with time. Oh, everything gets better with time. And first of all, I want to say that's not true. That's a pile of bullshit. It's the biggest pile of bullshit if I ever heard it. It don't get easier with time. Newsflash, it gets harder. And I know that's going to seem overwhelming to some people, but what happens is you adapt. As human beings, we adapt to our surroundings, we adapt to our changes in life. So eventually you will adapt to that person not being in your life. You'll become, I want to say, comfortable again at some point in your life, but it takes time. Um, I wrote a quote about this actually, that everything we do in this world takes time. When we fall in love, to fall in love with an individual, I'm not talking about a crush or lust or some shit like that. I'm talking about actual fucking love here. When you actually fall in love, it takes time. It doesn't happen over a day. You don't just. Some people say, oh, they believe in love at first sight. I really don't know. I think love happens after you connect and you bond with someone, but everything in this world takes time. So moving on takes time. It's a timely process. And everybody moves on differently. It takes some people longer than others to move on. Um, for me, it's a struggle. It's a battle to go in and go day out, because there are reminders of my mom in this house, or things. There are reminders of Crystal, and I've been in a lot of relationships, and I've been with a lot of different girls, and I'm even seeing I'm seeing a girl now whose name is Ashley, and I'm not going to go into the details about that, but the point is, the bond I had with Crystal was strong, and the bond I had with my mom was really strong. So it's just like, when these people sort of leave your life, whether it's through a breakup or anything. Crystal, thankfully, is still in my life as my friend, so I'm thankful for that. But when somebody leaves your life, it's very damaging, because what happens is everything's thrown off balance. And losing a parent, not only does your life change, you change. Because when they die, they take a part of you with them. And you're not the same, you can't get that part of you back. But the beautiful thing is, they leave behind a part of them, and you take that part of them inside you, and a part of them lives on through you. So it's sort of like an exchange of the souls, I guess you could say. And that is what I'm learning, is I'm learning that my mom does live on, but she lives on through me. And when I go into these depressions, I get these dark suicidal thoughts, And that's another reason why I become very antisocial, because these thoughts on suicide, or these dark thoughts, and they're racing thoughts, are not just like, oh, like one thought. It's like it's racing. But you have to come to the terms that this is just depression, and that it's not you. And mentally, I'm able to tell myself that, because no, I don't want to die. No, I don't want to take my life. No, I have no desire to kill myself. But it's hard, because at the same time, I have no desire to go on. I have no desire to continue my life, let alone really bother trying. And what happens is you become trapped in this kind of fog where you're constantly down. And that's how I feel. So these thoughts of suicide almost feel like an escape. They almost feel like some sort of freedom from this pain, but it's not. It's a trap. So anybody who is getting suicidal thoughts or thinking about suicide, I tell you right now, it's not an escape. It's not an escape. It's a sickness. It's an illness in your mind. That is what depression is. It's a disease of the brain. A lot of people think depression isn't real, and that it's just sadness. And I hear that theory a lot, like, oh, well, if you just change your life, if you just do this, if you just do that, you won't be depressed. And that's also a pile of her shit. It's not sadness. It's not the same thing as being sad. Everybody gets sad. That's a human emotion. Depression is not human. It is not at all a human reason, because you don't need a reason to be depressed. You can just be depressed. Your life can be going fucking perfectly fine. You could have everything you want in your life. You could, hell, you could be a fucking millionaire. It doesn't matter. It can just come. At least with grief, you have a reason to be grieving, because you're grieving something. You're grieving someone. But depression has no purpose. No reason. It's just a disease that affects your mind, that fucks up your head, it fucks up your thinking. Depression actually kills you from the inside out. It kills your spirit. And when your spirit dies, your body dies, because you lose the ability to take care of yourself. You lose the ability to take care of your needs, because when you don't have your spirit, you don't have the one essence that allows you to live, that allows you to feel, that allows you to connect, that allows you to live life. Anybody can survive, but to live, that's a different thing. And I've not lived my life for a long time, since my mom got sick, and since everything that happened in the previous years. When I fell in love with Crystal, she showed me how to live again, and why that's why I fell so deeply in love with her, because for the first time in a long time, I felt alive. I no longer felt I was living under a black cloud. I no longer felt like I was surviving. I felt like I was living in. That was the most beautifulest thing I'd ever felt. And I'd forgotten what it felt like, because when I got older, about the age of 16, not even 16, 15, my mom told me one day, son, now I need you to be the man your father could never be. I need you to step up and be this man. I need you to be. And from that day forward, a lot fell on me, a lot of responsibility. So I really didn't get to be a kid. I didn't get to always go over to my friends or party or hang out. And I'm not saying that my mom's the cause of my depression. Don't get that wrong. It's just that I've always had so much responsibility, and once in my life I feel like I no longer want that responsibility. Well, I do, but I just want to be able to live. And losing Crystal, I really felt like I lost that, but I had to realize that I can't find happiness in other people. or things. I have to find happiness in myself, and that's what this is. It's a transaction. And I think anyone who's going through depression is, you can beat it. It's something that will last you throughout your life, but treatment, medication, other things will help, but necessarily you don't even need that. You just need to change your idea of thinking. And when you're in a depression like I am, especially with racing thoughts, you have to be able to recognize it for what it is, a disease, and you have to recognize that you are ill and that you are not thinking logically. And if you cannot do that, you will not beat it. And that is what you have to do. You have to recognize it. And you have to tell yourself that's not you and that's not your thinking. Right? Because when you do come out of depression, when the depression dies down, you're gonna be thinking logically again. You're gonna be thinking, yeah, like what the fuck was I thinking? Like why did I go out and do that? Or why did I go out and buy all them alcohols and like get wasted? You know what I'm saying? It's just when you're depressed, you do stupid things because your mind isn't there. It isn't right. It's like twisted. Your thoughts become twisted. Everything becomes twisted. So I want to go ahead and end this video. 16 minutes. Holy shit. But I hope this helps with some of you who are going through a tough time. Peace out.